Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another stream after I don't know how long this took, but today we'll be playing Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon, which is a game that I've played fairly often. I'm uh, I'm not really that fond of replaying games, but this has been a game that that I've come back to quite often. I don't know how many times I beat this. At least 4 times, I think. And when I beat it, I pretty oh, whoops. I don't know what happened there. Um, yeah, in case you didn't notice, this um, isn't from an actual N64 console, since I don't really have a way to. I'll probably I'll probably go into the menu first. This isn't directly from an N64 console because I don't really have a way to directly record from a console, since at the moment I don't have a capture card. I Since I didn't really know if uh, if I'm going to continue streaming, that I didn't really know, and I thought if I can get my hands on a capture card, then it's probably going to be an HD capture card, most likely in Elgato, since I'm I'm not really that knowledgeable in uh, or with capture cards. So, and that is pretty much the popular choice. And then there are ways to record games with an SD setup, but the problem is I don't really have permanent access to my N64. So even then, I'd be kind of forced to use other means, and yeah, it's not optimal. I know that, but I'm still trying my best. So that if I get a capture card, if I can get it relatively cheap, because I know these things cost minimum $100. So yeah, apparently I've been not streaming for so long that I got another follower. So I'm going to shout out Oblivion Odin, who is now following me after I think I lost a follower. So we're still at 3. Um, Means I didn't have to update my layout in that regard. And yeah, one weird thing is, if you notice it, that because we're playing not playing on console, or I think this wasn't an issue when playing on console, there are these black bars around the main screen, and I don't know why they appear there, because they only appear in menus and in towns. I checked it out earlier, and in the normal levels they seem to be fine and on the map. So it's kind of weird. I might need, and I didn't think that really having 2 different setups for this specific thing would be that optimal. So yeah, and as soon as I'm looking, lag frames are back. definitely not as bad as before. But yeah, you probably did notice that this stream has kind of terrible quality. That I don't really have the, I think, raw power on my computer to comfortably stream, record, and play something at the same time. Because if the stream has hiccups, then I at least want the general recording to be high definition. So I'll record these at HD quality and then put them up on YouTube. And I'll probably close my windows since while recording a podcast I had some bad experiences. And it can be loud, so yeah, I probably won't stream for that long, and compared to the other streams, this is not a blind stream. This is pretty much I know, or I should know pretty much everything I'm doing. I don't think I'm the most skilled person at this game, although I think I should be really good at this game nonetheless. So yeah, one weird thing, because I already have a completed file. This was from last time I played the game, so bite back. But the thing is that for some weird reason on the emulator, this this menu scheme, and it's only this menu scheme, kind of has problems with the input. So okay, that was I have to get it right. So okay, this is and I don't know why it has problems. It really baffles me how and I really have to say that it really baffles me how this doesn't work. Okay, I might have to because this is apparently a thing with this controller. There is another game that I tried to play. Or no, it's the exact opposite with E6, because I tried to play E6 with a PlayStation controller, with PlayStation 4 controller, and it had a similar problem where the dead zone was really weird. So in that I had to set it at 0, otherwise it wouldn't work, and isn't really possible to play the game then, because even then it didn't solve the problem. Let's put it at 5%. Okay, that's helping. Also not helping. Because the thing is, I don't know why it tilts back that hard. Let's try this with... Okay, even arrow keys don't seem to work. Great. So, apparently we just have to get lucky. Yes. Okay, so okay, this is one of the things I wanted to show, or that I wanted to do since I completed the other game pretty much 100%. Because one thing is that you can buy alternate costumes that you can use on other files, and I didn't really know you could use them on other new files. Since the credits show castle levels, which are pretty much the final level for any new map, and which are pretty much the best levels in the game. Because you go into these levels and they had these costumes, but you cannot replay these levels. They are one time, which is kind of it's a little bit sad that you cannot replay them, because they're easily the best levels and they have some really great music. I forgot I forgot the costume, but the impact costume I did have wasn't really that... God damn it, and I skipped the cutscene. This is pretty much general behavior, because I know how this game plays, and it's really natural to skip cutscenes. So, but this is a casual playthrough anyway. This isn't like a step-to-step let's play. I just wanted to pick a game that I thought might be interesting to play, and that I myself am comfortable with playing while knowing that this is pretty... And here you can see that some of the sprite don't translate that well to the emulator, or at least with the graphics packages that I tried. Okay, so a few things about the gameplay. Since we finally got the start. In this game, you pretty much, like any 2D platformer, walked from left to right to reach the goal. And you have a weapon you activate with B, and some special attacks like this coin toss that... Okay, I never really died this part. Again, explaining things while also playing, not that easy. Always looks that easy, but when you're playing yourself, it definitely isn't. But yeah, again, you have a weapon, you have specials. The specials, they consume the money that you can see at the bottom there. Right now I have 155 lives, obviously, but another interesting thing is that this game has a day-night cycle. You can see the sun symbol that slowly moves more to the right, and when it reaches the edge, it becomes night, and a few things change at night. But I'll probably talk about that when it's going to be night. But yeah, there are also special attacks, different special attacks that don't really, or special features that the different characters have, because if you hadn't noticed, you can play this game with 4 different characters. 2 of them are available right from the start, which are Goemon and Ebisumaru. And 2 other playable characters are available. The third playable character is pretty much right around the corner, which feels a little bit weird that they have a new character, and that character is available right in this first city. You only have to do the introductory level. Because the first thing that you have to pretty much do while you get into a new town is go to the tea house, because there are cutscenes there. And this time, I won't skip it, because while the introductory cutscene is pretty nice, it's also not that necessary, because pretty much there was a machine that could resurrect people, and it fell into the wrong hands. And now we're trying to stop that person, and that person pretty much went to the castle, and you cannot get to the castle without collecting I forget how they're called in English. I only know the German names, but it's pretty much passports. What is the translation? Pretty much you have to collect those you have to collect those things, which you can see right now we have one. These things, why do I not know what these are called? And now it's night, at least I think so. It looks like it's night. And at night, you get this passport by just talking to entry passes, right? Can you do this at night? This is something you should also do right at the start, because you get the special weapon for Goemon. That you pretty much need in the first level. Yeah, so, and you pretty much have 100 coins at the beginning of the first level, so this is pretty much a free giveaway. The only exception is, of course, if you did buy anything else. So yeah, let's go to the shop and then I can show you what is available there. No. Because here we have rice balls and plum rice balls, which are essentially revive items. If you get defeated and you would normally use a life, you can, or the game automatically uses this item and you pretty much can continue. The only problem is that there are some situations, like when you're falling down into a pit, where you cannot revive. So it's not a universal solution, but it certainly helps. And there's one level in particular that we will get to later on that definitely benefits from having one of these. And it's to me it's probably the hardest level, or not the hardest, but pretty much the level where it's really easy to die at the end. Okay, and Raincoat, this is pretty much gives you an extra hit. I didn't really talk about the weapon because there are ways to improve your weapon, because the weapon has 3 tiers, normal, then silver, and then gold. And if you have a raincoat on, then you pretty much have an armor slot, and if you get hit, you won't lose the current level of weapon upgrade, because otherwise if you get hit, you lose one part of your health bar, which are the red rectangles, and then you also lose the current level of weapon. So it goes from gold back to silver if you get hit. You can then collect a cat again to improve the weapon rating again, and there are also food. I think it's dangos on a stick that enemies can drop, and you can collect them and gain health back. So it's a random drop. Some of them are randomly placed in a level, or not randomly, they are always at the same place, but yeah, these code items pretty much give you an armor slot that if you get hit, you don't lose your weapon level and you don't lose health. So it's a pretty nice way. And because I don't think I need one of these, because I want to save my money. Okay, so that's the thing. I don't really plan on 100%ing this game or getting all the entry passes. Okay, so this right here is another shop. Here you can pretty much buy life ups, because there is an item that costs 80 gold that gives you an extra life. Here you can pretty much save your game. Probably going to do that. And there are also rooms which replenish your health. They are a bit cheaper than I think the food places, and that's the thing that's a little bit of weird to me, because you have a lot of ways to replenish your health in some of these cities. Because right now here you can buy food that I think is cheaper than another place that you can buy food from. I don't know. I think it was at the beginning of the level, which is one of these, which is a shop with pretty much blue blue signs and blue banners all around. And there is one extra life here in this house right at the end. Yeah, I'm not really going to talk to these villagers again. This is not really, well, not a let's play in the sense that I'm going to talk with these people. More in the sense that I'm going to show you gameplay side of this game, because a lot of these people also don't really have a lot of things to say. Don't remember. Is there anything? No. There's a similar house like this, from which you get an extra life, but that is in a town that comes a little bit later. So we need to get a certain amount of entry passes. I think for the first checkpoint it's 5, and I'm probably going to show at least every level, so at least I'm going to do that, because there, if I'm going for 100%, there is a pretty notorious mission that requires you to, I think, put a truckload of money into one, or that you have to collect a lot of money. Mainly, I think it was 2,000. I'm not really sure, but yeah, 2,000. That's a lot, because you can only carry 999, and yeah, I think it was higher. Maybe when we get there, I'll probably check. But yeah, this is a mission I'm definitely going to do. Because it also has great music. But then again, I think one of the strongest parts of this game is generally the atmosphere and the music. It's just a little bit unfortunate that these lines are there. And it's really weird, because there is almost no other level that I can remember that has these lines. Also, this was way easier than it normally goes, because I don't know why I like to I like to miss these I like to miss these jumps, and then you have to pretty much go up the entire way again, and it has a specific timing to it. But other times you just get it and you hold your control stick upright and it's no problem. But yeah, I think the easiest way that if you're looking for money, this level, or at least I found this level pretty easy to grind. Or that it's easy, generally it's easy here because there aren't a lot of traps, the level isn't overly long, and if you beat a level that you've already cleared before, you can get a pretty nice coin bonus at the end, so... And to show you the pipe item, which is pretty much an extended attack with R, enemies don't drop coins, which is a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, I'm still pretty fine with it. So right now we have re-entry passes. Interesting fact is that you can only get 6 entry passes at this point in time. So there is a mission for this level where you have to beat some spirits. That to me always looked like giant stuffed chunks of meat, for lack of a better term, and now we get to a mid-boss pretty much, which is at least a little bit random as to why this level in particular has a mid-boss. Yeah, so with bosses like these, the enemies can, or you might need more hits depending on the weapon you currently have. Since a silver weapon might need 2 hits before the boss uses his next attack. When I first played this game, this boss used to give me a little bit of trouble. Mainly just because I didn't really know where the hitboxes were, and if you don't know where these hitboxes are, this can be an annoying fight. Of course. I'm always a little bit careful around that part because depending on the knockback that the other enemy can give you, you can fall off really easily and lose a life. And I, for the most part, want to avoid that. I mean, in most of these early levels, it's not really that big of a deal if you lose. Yeah, so this is the gate, and like I said, they don't let you through until you have enough entry passes. At the beginning here, you don't really have a lot of options for which entry passes you decide to get and which don't, and I think that's fine, because in the next world you have a lot more options, and from then on I think they get more lenient. Because I think World 3 needs barely any more entry passes. Yeah, so this was the health item. And these specific blocks you can only destroy with Goemon's chain pipe. If you don't have the right character for a specific section, you can use this. Just press down and then you get warped into the interdimensional tea house, where you can change a character. One really nice thing about night is that while it's night, you get double the coins. But there are also ghosts and pumpkin ghosts that pretty much annoy you like that by just being in the way or appearing seemingly random or at really mean places. Yeah, but the thing is, you can already see why grinding in this level would be a little bit more problematic, even though I think there are more enemies here and it's a little bit longer. Since there are a lot of pits that you can fall into. And I always like to take the upper path, although I think the upper path is more littered with these bottomless pits. And one rule is to always take it slow with these things. And you can always tell if the night is over because of first of all the music, and I have to say level 1 has pretty great nighttime music, or world 1 to be precise. Yeah, but you can hear a rooster cry out. And then it's definitely morning, or if you can hear a howling, then it's definitely night. But also the other indicator is that you get 2 coins from that point on, or 1 coin. So even though it might look bright or dark already, there may not it may not be yet night or day, depending on which state it is right now. Yeah, for the record, I'm probably going to play with Goemon for this entire game, because I always do, because The thing is, other characters like Sasuke are faster, and he also has a ranged attack, but the problem with the ranged attack of Sasuke is that he has these golden knives that pretty much extend to the end of the screen, but you don't get any coins from it. And especially for someone like me that wants to keep those coins, even though for this casual run I probably don't need them. I don't know, this is like I always play the game. I might change it up a little, but it just feels so natural to use this double jump, and it always feels really weird when I try and get another jump with another character, because they feel so low, and it's mainly because I'm used to it. Let's be real, I'm so used to using Goemon, and even if I said, okay, this time this is the first run that I'm not using Goemon exclusively, I mean, I tried, it just feels so different. Because that's one thing, because I don't think this game is that hard. It has a good amount of tough sections. Especially the final castle is really mean with some of its pit placements. Yeah, and these crushers are pretty much a one-hit kill. But interestingly enough, with Goemon you can totally jump up on them, and this is the first occurrence of a golden cat that pretty much maxes out your weapon stat and your armor, so you are pretty much safe for a good while. Yeah. And considering I like using Goemon so much, in this castle I think you can already see why. I mean, already one of the benefits is that Goemon has an easier time getting oh yeah, these elephant things are checkpoints. I don't think I mentioned that before. So if I die, I spawn back at one of these. Yeah, one thing to say, all of these castles have amazing music. Oops. Was a little bit too hasty there. And I think this one is probably in the middle even for me. It's still really cool, but there are just some castles that are really awesome. You can destroy the falling debris with an upwards attack, which is something some people didn't know, apparently, that played this game. But then again, I don't think that a lot of people even played this game, which is a shame, but I know from experience that there can be I mean, I don't really need this as Goemon, but why not? Because yeah, some people might say that Goemon makes things a little bit too easy, and that is partly right. But to me, it's just more fun this way. So yeah, these hands that are trying to beat us down are from the giant Mecha Impact that we are right now trying to free from its brainwashing. Yeah, I should have gotten this. But you can already see something like this would be a lot tighter without having Goemon and double jump. And you can already see how long this castle is. Definitely if you compare it to the other levels. And even later in the game, these castles are a lot longer than the normal levels. Even though some of the normal levels get pretty involved. I'm trying to think where's the next best place where I can spend that money, because I already have 469. And I forget if there's any place in... Okay, I didn't need to go here. It's only the character switch. But that is also a pretty cool feature, that there are a good amount of these teleporters, so you can, if you want to, you can play these castles with different characters all together. I mean, Goemon is certainly the easiest. To me, Ebisumaru feels like the hardest to play with, because he doesn't move that well like Sasuke, or his attacks are I don't know why, but I don't like his attack as much as I like the attack of the fourth character, for example. And the fourth character has some uses for its attacks. Yeah, so that platform that you could see right now is pretty much the platform that leads to the final part of this castle. This cat you cannot quite get with a double jump from this. I think you can, but the intended way is to drop down from above. But I don't need to because I didn't get hit a single time. Because yeah, if you know what you're doing, this castle really is no problem. And also another cool thing is that these castles have dynamic music that changes. Okay, right now, because there are some cues in the that when you reach a certain area, then the music changes. This is pretty much the final stretch, and I wanted to because right here's the boss. I wanted to hear this because normally when I go up here, the loop starts a lot earlier. I mean, to be fair, there isn't really that much to this loop, so it's pretty obvious that that it only plays for the last 30 seconds. But yeah, if you don't really get the timing right, you don't necessarily hear it that that long on the top part, which is the reason why I waited. And here's the first boss, which is pretty much hit the balls back at the boss. And optimally with the right timing. I mean, I can... Yeah, this is pretty easy. You just have to see that you time the attacks right. So optimally you wait a little bit after you hit the first ball. There's a ball near it, and then you hit that second ball. And if you get a good pattern, you can beat this boss. I think with only 3, or optimally, yeah, I think it probably would be possible with even if the boss only spits out balls 2 times. But I think the best I got was 3. This was 4, which is still good, but not that optimal. This almost sounds like a speedrun, this game. It's some pseudo knowledge. I mean, this was pretty much one of the candidates for me, that if I wanted to try to speedrun something more seriously, then it probably would be this game. But the speedrun apparently concentrates mainly on Sasuke and the 4th character. So yeah, it's a little bit... I mean, I still could try because I still really like this game. Because the kind of 2.5D aesthetic is really nice, the music is really good. And this is pretty much... Oh, god damn it, I got the combo wrong. Okay, so Impact, you have a light attack that is fast with B and a heavy attack with A. You can shoot things with Z, and this is the combo, which is pretty much up, down, up, A. And you can also switch to the other impact. And one fun thing, I don't know if it does anything, but you can do the combo and then kick, which is down, down, A. And this is the laser. I think I missed my input there. Because I actually didn't want to use this. Okay. Can I? Nope. Yeah, so in the hut up there you can see the boss's health. Right on down on the left you can see. Okay, this is one of the special attacks the boss has. There is another one that is pretty much unavoidable unless you switch to the other character. Or if you use the laser and you don't really want to see that other attack, because if you miss the other impact, then that could pretty much lead to a game over right then and there, because those super attacks do massive damage. And these impact fights were pretty intimidating when I first played this game. But now they're pretty fun, but also a little bit trivial, because at least for me, for the most part, I just try to get the enemy, or try to see if the enemy is near me, and then I activate the punch combo and the kick after. And I still don't know if the kick after that is stronger or if it does any damage at all. But I just do it for good luck. It doesn't really change anything. But yeah. I mean, this is probably another game a lot of people will watch, which is apparently kind of becoming a theme with my streams, in that I'm kind of trying to stream, and this is a really nice thing that it enables you to save after you defeat a world without visiting an inn. Technically, you can always go back to the previous world and use the inn there, but it's still nice that you can do this. So yeah, this is Ryugu, the next world. And it's obviously the water world. Another much easier jump if you are Goemon, since Goemon can just jump over this guy. I mean, a lot of these enemies you can technically defeat with the attacks that use coins, like this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I might have to... change the graphics plugin for that level, since with the other graphics plugin, that level wasn't even remotely a problem. Or I played through this entire game with on this emulator, so it should definitely work. But I'm playing with another plugin that works a little bit better with some games, and it generally has a better quality, so I'll probably do the thing that I talked about previously and save at the end so that I can change the plugin, so I don't have to go through glitched Hell Cave again. Since because that's kind of sad, since the area really looks pretty nice. Okay, just a second. No, wrong one. The thing is, there is also a better oh god, this again. Nope, this is wrong. Again, I don't know why it does that, and only on the menu. Okay, wait, sumo outfit, nothing for Sasuke. The thing is, there are some cool outfits, but I didn't get them, apparently. Or I didn't get them right now, so normal Goemon it is. And I mean, I played this game with this exact plugin on the emulator, so it should definitely be fine. And one thing you might have seen is that the level clear or that the level complete sign didn't appear, because the level we were in right now has an extra exit that we right now aren't able to get. We first have to reach the town. Okay, yeah, one unfortunate thing about this plugin, and why I wanted to use the other one, is that, as you can see, the day-night symbol is a little bit invisible. Which is pretty unfortunate, and yeah, I might change it back to the other plugin after a little while. And this is again an alternate path that you can take, because normally I think that if you do this level the first time, then they expect you to go all the way right, and then there is a section where you pretty much scale the mountain with some floating platforms and I think a few spikes and something like that. But if you just let the bamboo carry you upwards, you can go left right there, and you can go up here, which is pretty much the normal way to be. Oh yeah, the thing is, you can kind of tell with this if it's going to be night. It's just hard to kind of get at which point the display now is saying that it's night. But yeah, I went this way so often that this is, to me, is the normal way. I can't remember when the last time was when I did the other way. But yeah, I'm waiting here because there is a cave right here that if I go into there at night, there is another iguana man that gives me an entry pass, which is an entry pass when the first time I played took a while, but okay, too early. Yeah, so I'm just going to wait a little bit, and then we can get this entry pass. Yeah, night music in Yugu is, to me at least, one of the... I don't even want to say worst ones, because I think it's still good, it's still fine, but again, explaining and playing at the same time, getting hit. I mean, I'm almost not getting hit, but I don't know why with this game. It just feels like I'm doing worse than I actually am. Yeah, and since I have a lot of money, why not buy this? I mean, again, I don't really know what I could buy with this, since I don't plan to do 100%, at least not right now. I mean, I don't know. I did this game so often in 100% that it feels... It almost feels newer and fresher to just do a playthrough where I don't get everything. So yeah, with this cutscene we get Yai. And additionally, the ability to move underwater. There are only 2 characters that can do this, namely Yai and Sasuke. So we are kind of forced at this point to change characters. But you pretty much can turn back immediately, because there are always interdimensional tea houses where you can change your characters again right after you get there, or you get out of the water. For Sasuke. And unfortunately, we cannot play with Goemon for the entirety of the game. A little bit sad, but I mean, we have to play with some of these characters, at least for a little bit. There is one exception. I mean, if I can avoid it, I'd rather not do the Ebisumaru races, because they can be quite tricky and it's easy to fall off, since I don't know, Ebisumaru movement feels so clunky to me. So in the shop right now, again, the revived items and more protective armor. But there... I forget where the girl is that teaches Ebisumaru the shouting technique, or I think she's only there at... Oh no, there she is. So I'm at least going to get the item for Ebisumaru, or his special. I mean, I really don't like playing as him. He has some funny attacks and his voice is pretty funny, but yeah, I think he would be more of a fun player in multiplayer. Oh god, no. Oh, and there is one thing that we absolutely have to do. Okay, this thing is pretty much required to beat Ibismaru's rival. I think it was Obismaru. I'm going to talk with him. Yeah, Obismaru. I didn't want to do this, but I pressed yes on accident. Okay, I'm going to give this one try. And yeah. I don't really like this mission because I don't really like his movement, and he cannot really jump that high, and the game kind of forces you into a situation where you have to use his butt jump. But you have to stand at a or you have to have a good placement, so it's a little bit wonky. Yeah, so oh god, this is Plasma with these dancing dolls. I mean, even as a kid, I thought these things were weird, and I don't know if, as an adult right now, I'd say this is weirder or not. Because I kind of like the dance moves of the dolls. And I don't know why Plasma is riding on a pendulum that is, I think, modeled after the symbol for male. I think if it were the symbol, then the tip would have to be a little bit tilted. Yeah, this is the Obismaru entry pass that I won't get. This is one of the next entry passes. And this is pretty much the same mission, find the octopus and defeat it underwater. And this is one of the old missions. I cannot remember. We're now 8 and we need 14. It should be 14. I think with these first levels, it's not really that hard to remember it right, since I mean, I could just right then and there. No, 10. Why did I think it was 14? Oh, maybe it's because at that point I have 14. Okay, let me calculate. Okay, the octopus there, then beating the stage, that 2, then 2 in Naruto Road. Job 4, then we are at 12, then the Obismaru race, 13, and the mission in Edo. Yeah, 14 is the number that you normally have to get, so what is the maximum number that you can get at this point in time. Okay, so that's why I mistook it. I think it's around 20. No, I don't know. I don't know why I have for World 322 in my head. For the swimming sections, I use Yal because I like her underwater form more, and I'm also more of a fan of the sword compared to the knives that Sasuke has. This is again also one of the reasons why I don't really like the single jump characters, because sometimes it eats your input and then you stand there. One thing that's not that optimal about Ya is that the sword doesn't really have the best hitbox. At least I don't feel like it, because with the pipe it's pretty clear, because you have that you have the arc that goes down. And it feels like the sword doesn't have that range. So pressing R transforms both Yae and Sasuke when they're in water, and they both have two different transformations, because Sasuke pretty much moves around like normal and has an attack he activates with and his normal knife attack, while Yae controls pretty differently, because for one she has this buster attack and then also the charge attack, which is, at least to me, infinitely okay, this was the better strat. For some reason I had pressing A in the corner in mind. Again, one nice touch is that you can see that it's nighttime even underwater. I mean, the music doesn't change, which is still fine. Okay. While I like the charge attack, one annoying thing is that the B attack, again, because it kind of counts as a special attack, and luckily we have this here, so we can change back to Goemon. You can destroy these with I think Goemon and Sasuke these, or I only think with not Goemon. I thought of Epismaru for a second, but I can't remember because I only use Sasuke for these blocks. Funnily enough, there is a section in the World 3 castle where they kind of expect you to use Sasuke and their technique to blow away these bombs, but you can just double jump over them. There are these blocks, but you can totally ignore them, which is kind of funny to me. And we technically have the necessary entry passes now. I'm trying to see if I can... Yeah, probably use Sasuke in the castle. And why didn't I get a half drop? Especially for this underwater section. Of course. Some of these can be a little bit mean. I mean, Ya has the advantage that if you chain together these here, then she has yeah, she has kind of invincibility frames, not exactly, but you can avoid damage for the most part. Okay, let me just... I mean, you saw it right there, I could just... There is a 1-up in this stage, I can't remember. Yeah, I had to go up there. Okay, why didn't that hit? Yeah. I'm probably going to buy a life and stock up with might also buy revive item. I mean, why not? Because the thing is, if we don't need it here, we're definitely going to be... We're definitely going to need it at the beginning of the next level. Because, but then again, even if you're not willing to go back to the first island and pay 80 for a level up, why would you use any other healing method than the inn? Or not the inn. Then the food place where you get an extra life. But yeah, after this world, the difficulty curve goes up quite a bit, especially in the first level of World 3, but we'll get there eventually. And yeah, looking at the stream, this went really well so far, mainly because the bitrate is extremely low. And this isn't as taxing on my computer as, say, Bloodstained, that cannot even run normally while I don't record. I mean, I really wanted to at least record it on my computer locally, so that I could do kind of a let's play, because I wanted to try that out anyway, but with this it won't work. And the thing that infuriates me is that I have a low-end gaming laptop. The specs aren't that bad. I mean, it's not it's not optimal for streaming, of course, but at least for gaming. And it's always kind of sad if these games aren't really that optimized for PC, so that even though I have the specs, it doesn't run that well. Because I kind of, even with Dark Souls Remastered, I deal with PCs that are not that great, that run it perfectly, and then I look at my laptop, or that there are other laptops that run it just fine, and then I have problems with this. I don't know why. Maybe it's just this specific laptop or some component of it. But yeah. Okay, and now to some of the best music in the entire game. Again, you can already see why Goemon would make this castle easier, since you can easily jump over these. You have an easier time jumping over these specific spikes. You can just grab this one up without getting crushed like this. For these platforms, you just have to wait. But yeah, I'm probably going to end the stream after this castle, since then I can also change the the graphics plugin again, so that we can have a visible day-night cycle without the Hellscape dimension corridor. Yeah, it's not that easy to hit a few of to hit these skull crabs. I don't know what the optimal name would be. I know it's probably wrong, but I'm going to say skull crabs. It's the first thing that popped into my mind. So these skull crabs can be annoying to hit, especially with some of the other characters. I think that's one case where I think Ibismaru has it the easiest when it's about simply hitting characters that are right in front of him. Also, let's show Sasuke for a little bit. Wrong button. Pressing B the entire time. So Sasuke, as you can see, moves pretty fast, and if you have a gold weapon, you can throw your kunai pretty much forward, and a lot of the enemies get hit easily. But one of the annoying things, and one of the reasons why I don't really like to use him, is that if you defeat an enemy with that range attack, then you don't get the coins, and they also take less damage if they get hit with this compared to a direct hit. So you really kind of want to just hit them, since the normal hit arc is pretty good, but it can be pretty annoying. And I think you can kind of see why I don't really like to use Sasuke in the underwater section, because his range is so small when Yae has invincibility chain strokes. Also, continuing the tradition of N64 eels looking creepy for some reason. I don't know. These guys, to me, seemed almost as creepy as the eel from Mario 64, if people used to remember that one. Yeah, also one interesting aspect of this level is that you have to fight the boss with either Sasuke or Yae. Since the boss fight is right after a swimming section, and they don't let you yeah, you don't need the ball. Since that is right after a swimming section, and you can cannot change back, which is a little bit weird because there is no need to go underwater, so you technically should be able to change back. Yeah, one other thing is that there are some castles, especially Castle 3 and 4, kind of, that, although no, 4 I think more than 3, that have alternate paths, but you cannot really take them because, or at least not on one playthrough. Because again, you can only play castles once per file, then they are defeated. And now let's see the wonders of getting through everything by just mashing A. I mean, it's kind of funny because this mainly makes one section that comes pretty much at the end of the game, and that can technically be annoying a lot harder. And so this is the boss that you cannot really do except with Sasuke or Yae. And this is a little bit of an annoying section since you have to avoid getting hit by this guy. But so we have to hit him, but judging where his hitbox is can be pretty annoying, and I'd rather take that one up. Just have to get to the end of the stairs. Or not. Okay, this is a lot safer, but I was too slow the other time I tried it. But yeah, luckily we have the golden cat, so you can be a little bit reckless during this first part. And if you die here, then okay, I cannot really remember if you have to start at level again. So this boss is a lot slower than the previous one because you pretty much have to avoid the attacks. He has this attack where he summons these where he summons these rings and you have to walk around them. The damage this boss takes is pretty funny, still. If you can time it right, then okay, there I could move, although I destroyed the rope already. Okay. That's a little bit of a problem with this fight, is that you have to kind of have to wait. Okay, I was a little bit too reckless. So luckily I have the revive item, so it should be fine. I mean, this is pretty much okay. This is pretty much the perfect pattern where the boss just where it just goes in the direction where you want to go anyway. And that's the boss fight. I mean, the problem is that this is pretty much almost a scripted fight in that you cannot really speed it up. The only way to speed it up is that if you get the ring laser attack, and you have to and you can go the other way around, that instead of following you, you can follow it and hit the ropes on the way. Yeah, this one, if you miss the switch when you need to, this can be pretty evil. Also, this boss is a lot more generous with that was too late. But then again, you can pretty much just do this, and the boss. Okay, to show you how switching looks like. And now the boss wanted to hit us from the left side. I wanted to get off a laser, but so I got hit a lot more than I needed to, but yeah, it's fine. It was a fine boss fight. Again, if there were a lot of people like me that had troubles with this fight as children, or that didn't really yeah, then it would be really nice to see to see them or to see the reactions as to, oh, this is that easy. But then again, these fights aren't that hard if you know what you're doing, because they give you a lot of leeway. The biggest problem is pretty much just hitting or just avoiding the super move at the end, or knowing how to avoid it, because I didn't really know how to avoid it, and I always thought, how did they do this? Or how are you supposed to do that? Because I then always thought that you had to use the laser to kind of counter it, because there are bosses where you can counter it, because this boss has a giant whirlpool that it summons, and you are kind of engulfed in that whirlpool, and then you I mean, technically with that super attack you can use the punch combo to beat those eels that it, or those giant eels back and not die. I cannot remember if there was another whirlpool attack that you cannot avoid, but I know that the whirlpool attack you could technically stall with chaining together punch combos. But then again, these guys die pretty quickly if you didn't notice, mainly because the punch combo does so much damage. This is pretty much just 4 of these and then a little bit of extra damage and they're dead. Yeah. Again, this is a game that I think probably not a lot of people played. I mean, I didn't really own this. When I first played this, I lent it from my cousin, which is how I got to experience a lot of games I really liked, which were games that I originally didn't even own, and then either my brother bought or that I tried to get. I think most notably was Baden Kaitos. I don't know what the right spelling is there for the English version. It's kind of a hybrid, and I think it is Hebrew. I'm not really sure. I just know that it's some old language because I know from the word origins. But yeah, I think that's it for this stream. Considering the lag frames, it went really well, but this is only a 1500 kilobit stream, or 1.5 megabits if you want to call it like that. While I technically have much higher rates, I mean, I'm probably going to try and do some test streams, or I'm going to test a little bit to see if at higher bit rates are possible. But then again, I think that the HD probably will work for this, but because it already did work for Ease with still a lot more lag frames, because right now it's 0.4%, which is pretty manageable, which is totally fine. But I did see the image quality and it was not that great. I mean, it's still manageable. It's still fine if you ask me, but I can totally understand that some people might not really be that interested in the stream. But then again, if you want to see more or a better quality video, then check out my stream archives on YouTube. I'll post this probably tomorrow. I'm kind of tired right now. It's just after midnight. So also I thought that this might be this wouldn't take that long because we're already at World 3. I mean, this is not that long of a game to begin with if you're just playing through it normally, but I always did 100% and that took a lot longer, so being here at around the 2 hours mark is pretty interesting. I mean, if I would just play through this casually, then I think I would I think it would get a pretty decent speedrun time. I just had to look up the exact route because I did see that there were speedruns for this, but not a lot. Because apparently not a lot of people are really familiar with this game, which is a shame because I think this is... I don't really play a lot of other platformers than most of the Nintendo stuff like Mario. So it's nice that I have an alternative like this that plays differently but is still fun and starts to get challenging from this level onwards. I really don't like this level. Now that I think about it, I should probably heal. Okay, I didn't want to go back. Because then I won't waste the item that I got right at the beginning. Yeah. And the next area also has some really great music. I'd say I don't really know if I'd say it's overall my favorite area considering the music. I'm not sure. Because the thing is, while the last world doesn't have a lot of levels, I really like some of the music there. But then again, it doesn't really have... It technically only has 3 levels. And the castle doesn't really have any new music except for the boss fights. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate because either World 3 or World 4, so either Margin Island or World 4 have my favorite music in the game overall. But yeah, we got through this pretty fast, or to the first 2 worlds pretty fast. So I'm going to continue this next stream, and I don't think I'm going to play through this next stream. It might be possible. Okay, correction, now that I think about it, did I say World 4 when I went World 5? with only 3 levels I meant the final world, which is World 5. I kind of got it confused. World 4 has more levels. And also an anecdote on a level that I'm probably going to talk about later, but yeah. it's definitely nice to be to be back streaming, since I don't know, I think I stopped for about 3 weeks almost. Because I don't know, that Bloodstained didn't work really discouraged me from streaming, mainly because I couldn't really, I wasn't really sure if I should continue, because apparently my laptop cannot handle it. But then again, as it turned out, it was more of a problem with my laptop itself than technically streaming and playing it at the same time, because the game also had problems while running on its own without anything else on the lowest settings. And I don't know why for this kind of laptops these games don't seem to be that optimized, because the Ease games run perfectly fine, or did run fine so far. Now if the Ease games just had adjustable volumes for the cutscenes, so I didn't have to lower my volume to insane low levels on my computer itself. Yeah, I really don't know why these are so loud. I mean, it's probably just my headphones, but I really like these headphones, so yeah, then I'm going to have to adjust it to that. But this was it for today. Don't know if I'm going to stream right tomorrow or right the next day. If I'm going to stream tomorrow, or if I'm going to spread it out a little bit more, since I think it's better if I spread it out a little bit more, because that feels more comfortable. I mean, it's still a little bit discouraging if you don't really get any viewers. Not really the viewers. It's that you don't really have a chat to interact with. I don't really see anything there happening, and because there are things that you as a streamer can technically talk about, that if you have the impulse, like the Nintendo Switch Lite that just got announced, and I'm glad that it's only a Lite version, because I just bought a normal one, and now I don't feel so bad that it is just this version and not a Pro, because that would have been unfortunate, and I don't really expect that they are going to turn out a Pro until next year, because it's better to have something like a better console, or this console revision, in the middle of the life cycle of the console, because then it's far away from the initial release that you can pretty much say to other people, yeah, you had plenty of time to get a regular console, or it's already out for that long. It's really nice to have this new hardware version, and compared to something like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where you definitely benefit from a better version, but you don't really need it that much unless you're really into graphics and performance of your games, because it still helps. It still helps a lot for some games, but a lot of other games still run fine. While I think a Switch Pro would really help with some games, especially with something like Xenoblade 2, which is which almost seems a little bit too ambitious for what the Switch could handle. It's still kind of amazing that this that it ran that well on that console. Yeah, I could also talk if I had a chance with you about the new Pokemon games and this whole shebang around them, this whole discussion. Where, if you want to know, I still kind of stand neutral because I don't want to damn the games right from the get-go without having played them. Although there are legitimate concerns and reasons why you might say, okay, I'm definitely going to skip this one. I won't buy this. I don't want to give them money. They should realize that these games are not what a lot of people want. Which I can understand because the thing is, for me, I can understand why Game Freak would do the things they do, but they are handling it in, I almost have to say, the worst way possible, because if we're real, it had to happen sooner or later that they were going to cut Pokemon from the games, because I always imagine the scenario that when there are around 1,500 of these that you all have to model, and that you might have to adjust the moveset and a lot of this stuff, and that can be a lot for every individual Pokemon. And also these, I know, the thing with the animation, haha. But even some of the idle stuff, and especially if there is something like a nature zone where you at least have to do some new animations for interaction, then it's going to get a bit wonky with how much they can do, because I understand that you cannot really include all of the Pokemon, but then you also, or people didn't really get a number with how many Pokemon are in the game, how many are confirmed, how many new ones get added. And that is kind of the bigger problem, because if people knew the kind of percentage, then it would be a lot easier to adapt to these circumstances. And some people would say, okay, there are I don't know, there are still 500 in there. That's still over half of them. That's not as bad as, let's say, they're only taking 200 of the old ones and then add about 100 new ones. I mean, for the normal game, it doesn't even really matter, because except if you really want to use some old Pokemon, which you could do before, they just weren't in the Pokédex in Sun and Moon. But you could still use them, as far as I know, while now you just cannot play with them. And if you're going to play normally, then that isn't really a concern to you. That is mainly a post-game thing. That getting these other Pokemon, or being able to play with these other Pokemon. But if you have that, or if you did use Pokemon Home, or no, Pokemon Bank, and are trying to find a reason to get Pokemon Home, then leaving out these Pokemon, or at least with the reasoning they have, because again, I can understand that with 1,500 of these, it's hard. And I mean, there might be reasons that that we don't know of, that they might not be able to use some of the old models, because even though they have HD versions, that it's not really that easy, or that they lost some files or some other stuff, because we don't really know what happened there. It could also just be that they are too small of a studio to handle all of that workload, or that they wanted to take it easy with their first Switch title. But there are a lot of reasons. I'd bet on them not having that many employees, which the thing is, Game Freak kind of tries to be that small or relatively small studio that kind of has its own vision and that doesn't want to get too big to still be able to do what they want to do. But Pokemon is one of the largest, if not the largest gaming franchise in the world. So people have expectations, and you should be able to provide a team then that could meet these expectations. At least if you cannot get these Pokemon, then get them, or at least if you cannot get these Pokemon, then make these animations really good, and not have comparison videos that show, oh, these are reused animations from Sun and Moon, or that you have a compilation of Pokemon Stadium moves that are well animated, while in Pokemon Sword and Shield you only have the animation for the attack itself, but the Pokemon doesn't really move. Because that is because then you're kind of nullifying your own argument if you because with animations, because in terms of the new nature zone, it's kind of obvious that they have to put new resources into that, and that they want to try new things and don't want to overwhelm the players with new concepts in Pokemon, while it maybe would be better if they tried a lot more new things in a new gen and weren't really that slow. But this game had a really big resonance at the start, but it fell off really hard, mainly with with the argument that you cannot really include all these Pokemon. While because the thing is, I still think at this point it's possible to include all these Pokemon. You just have to either outsource your workload or hire more people. But if Game Freak has the philosophy of not getting too big, then you cannot really do anything. Then it's their company philosophy against what they want to do. Because if they still believe that they can do a good Pokemon game and that it's fine, then they will do it. So this game really has to bomb or stay well under expectations, which I honestly don't think it will. But I really hope that Game Freak takes the criticism too hard, and that, I mean, again, if they are going to exclude Pokemon, they can do that, but then also make the game feel more polished and more next gen, or even not that much of a hand at hand. Because while Sword and Shield looks a lot better than 3DS. It still looks like 3DS. You can still see some of the similarities, and that's really unfortunate because it doesn't really feel like a next gen title, or like the next step, like the next logical step of going from one console to the next best one. Like Tales of Arise is a good example. I expected something worse, and looking at the trailer, this really looks like a step forward, because all the other games before also did release on PlayStation 3. The last few ones release on PlayStation 3 in Japan, so you could still see that these games were limited. And now you have this, and now it looks a lot different. This looked definitely better than I expected. And why can Pokemon do something like that when there are franchises that's so much bigger? But probably because the developer doesn't want to be that big, or maybe they don't realize that they are. But yeah, I'm still interested in it. I want to play it for myself. Because I want to see if it's gameplay wise can deliver, if it can convince me that okay, it feels nice and that I'm going to give it a chance because of that. Because I was kind of looking forward to this game, and now I'm a little bit more worried to even say something positive about it, because I'm still more in a neutral position, because I hear so many of the arguments that are people only defending Game Freak, and other people only hating on them, and I'm still not convinced, or I'm still not on either side completely, so I'm still giving it a chance. I mean, stuff like having different elemental gyms depending on which version you get makes the version exclusives, or the exclusive versions to be precise, more viable again, because hey, it feels really like there's something different there. Some people don't really like it because because they already say it's too different, but then I say, if you have the option to choose a different game, then I also kind of want to have a little bit of or that I want to the choice to feel like a choice, and that there are definitely some things that I can look forward to, and that are different, and not that it's almost the same entire game and that only a few details are different. Because this is more of a gameplay change that where I cannot really understand the argument of why don't they put both of these elements in the game, or why do you have to buy the other version when there always has been a fixed amount of gym leaders, and now with this you can get a little bit more variety, and that if you want to for some reason buy both versions, then it's finally more viable again, aside from catching everything in that generation. So yeah, I mean, it might feel like it's like you're missing some content when there are some type combinations, or if you have seen an artwork and you cannot have both gym leaders in one version, but that's not really, I think, the fault of the game. That's more the fault of preference. And then again, I think it finally you finally have a choice again, and at least to me that's better. At least to me that makes these versions distinct again, and that I'm thinking about which version I want more, depending on bigger changes than, ooh, I like I like that legendary more from the box art. Because the last major thing I can think of was that one location in Black and White, where it changed significantly, but then again, both of them were only post-game, and depending on which way you went, also really late into post-game. So yeah, I think it's a neat change. I can also understand why people might not like it that much, but it's at least some not that crazy. It's not on the crazy level of contradicting opinions. But yeah, after talking about Pokemon for I think 15 to 20 minutes on my own, since didn't have a stream chat to do it with, yeah, there are some games I'm looking forward to, and considering if I can get it cheap, I might get a capture card and see how that works out, and if I might be able to stream some other games than old N64 or a little bit older PC games that for some people might not be that interesting, because these, except for Mario 64, these all have been pretty niche games. And the other game that wouldn't have been that niche, which was Bloodstained, since where I thought, okay, I might get a few views into into the channel, and then Bloodstained didn't want to work. I couldn't get it to run, so that fell flat. So yeah, I mean, I really don't want to pander or kind of only take a game because I think, hey, it's popular, so people might look into it. I mean, a little bit of my thought process behind Ease was not that many people know of it, so there aren't that many streams of it, so people might watch it because of that. But then again, I think my stream quality might not be the best for some people. I mean, I sadly cannot avoid that. So I'm going to try and see if it works out, if people are okay with it, and if they are okay with it, then and if I, because the other thing is that if I could be or if I had more followers, or, and definitely if I got partner, then I definitely look into options where I could get either a really good laptop to stream with, or maybe set up a computer by itself, which then again wouldn't be that likely, since but it would definitely work better because I don't really trust in effectively streaming with laptops. I know other streamers, I think Proton John had a streaming laptop for a while and that went pretty well, which is the biggest example that comes to my mind. So it technically should work, but I don't know why with this one it won't. And on the other hand, I don't really want to, I still don't really feel like the need to have a new laptop, since this one still works fine. For all of the other stuff I use, it's still okay. It's still still only 4 years old and a low-end gaming laptop, so it's still well in the realm of what other people or what games should run on the lowest settings without problems. But I mean, it cost me $1,500 around. Got it in a discount, so a little bit cheaper, but original price was around that. And but yeah, enough enough just chatting. I have to say, this is really this is a really nice music to have while while doing this. I might play it when I'm going to talk a little bit again, if there are any viewers. I mean, I'm still waiting for a viewer that will interact with chat, or that will write in chat and that I can interact with without being dumb remarks about my name, which I know. I know there are some things that you can say about that. That's nothing new. I got a ton of silly nicknames, so I'm used to it. But then again, that's it. And this time for real for the stream. Thanks for watching and good night.